Hey everybody, this is Rustin Rose with Metal Nation, and we're joined tonight by the ever-incredible Heather Michele of Graveshadow. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
I am doing fantastic. My apologies for pulling you away from your birthday weekend.
Oh, not at all. It's all good. I did all my partying already.
Got it all out of the way, huh? So you guys,
oh, no. Yeah.
You guys have so much exciting stuff happening in the Graveshadow camp right now. You just finished a run with Serenia and Threat Signal. Now you've announced your own headlining tour, plus the fantastic record that's already on the Billboard charts. You guys have to be pretty ecstatic.
Oh, we absolutely are. We honestly weren't sure how it would do the first week. You know, we've done a couple of tours, we've done shows, we have met amazing fans who really appreciate and support us, but we weren't sure how this second album was going to be received, and so far a lot of people seem to like it, so we're very excited.
Well, it's already on my short list for my top 10 albums of the year, and we're not even halfway through the year yet, so I'd say you did quite well.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So, and taking nothing away from your debut album, Nocturnal Resurrection, to my ear, the new record eclipses it on so many fronts. How did you approach creating Ambition's Price differently?
Well, let's see. With this one, we were much more... Our goal was to be a little more riff-oriented when we wrote our songs. When we wrote the first album, there was a little bit more of a focus around keyboards, which we still wanted those elements in our music, and we will continue to want that. But we really wanted to make sure that everybody had a voice in this, and especially more guitars.
Absolutely. And speaking of guitars, aside from Will, who's always been with the band, this is the first album with Aaron joining on guitars, but also, obviously, with the absence of Valerie, handling keyboard duties on the record. What did he bring to the chemistry and creative process for the record?
Oh, he brought so much. He brought more than we ever could have hoped for. He's already very well versed in writing keyboard parts. He already has a project called Corpuscle, where he's the keyboardist of that band. But of course, in this, he mainly handles lead guitar work, which he does a fantastic job at, in my opinion. And he was a perfect fit. He was a great person to kind of take over for Valerie, and he stepped into this new role amazingly, in our opinion.
When I first heard the album, I'm like, wait a minute, Valerie's gone. Who's doing the keyboards? Took me a little bit to figure it out. So exactly what is Ambition's Price? I sense a theme of sacrifice.
It is, and we initially wanted to call the album Ambition's Price because of the song that we wrote, called Ambition's Price. It's the title track. When we wrote it, it was very, it felt very symbolic of just what we had been going through for the past several years of being in the band. That there's a great deal of sacrifice that happens when you're in a band, and it can sometimes feel like you're giving more than you're getting back. But all in all, we wouldn't choose anything else. So that's kind of what the theme was. We're so happy with where we are, but it did come at a price. So that's why we decided to entitle it.
So you guys worked with Armand John Anthony on this, of course, of Night Demon. Love their band, love what he does. Fantastic guitarist, obviously a great producer. How did that come about, and what did he sort of bring to the table for Graveshadow?
Well, it came about when we were touring with them along with Anvil last year. We were staying at someone's house, one of their friends' houses, and it got brought up somehow that he also records and produces bands. And he showed us some of the stuff that he's done in the past, and we really, really liked it. We were really big fans of the production that we heard, and we wanted to give him a shot. We were already really great friends with him. We really enjoyed hanging out and spending time, and we just thought we would get a really good product, and it would be a really great experience. And we were totally right.
So, and you guys recently released the video for War Chief, which is the final installment in the, correct me if I get it wrong, the Call of the Frostwolves trilogy.
That's correct.
For those of us who aren't aware, which other two tracks are the first two parts, and what's the trilogy sort of about?
So, the trilogy is called Call of the Frostwolves, and then all three parts are called Slave, Liberator, and then War Chief. And it's kind of nerdy, but we own it. That's kind of what we're all about. It's actually a trilogy about a character from World of Warcraft. And this particular character, he was born and raised in slavery. And his name is Thrall, and it actually means slave. So that's what the first song is about. It's about how, they call him slave. His name is Thrall. But within Liberator, he ends up freeing himself, through a series of events. And he goes out and finds the rest of his clan, and he in the end becomes War Chief and leads them to freedom. So it's a very epic tale that we just really fell in love with and wanted to write a trilogy about it.
Sort of a mini concept within the record there.
Exactly, yes.
Now, I've always loved your voice. You've got such a unique style of singing and everything. But Thank
you.
You've really outdone yourself on this record. Your vocal and melody work on Ambition's Price is so dynamic. Did you approach anything differently relative to the previous record?
Oh, yes, absolutely. When we did the first album, there were one or two times where, while we were recording, I wanted to add more vocal layers to the sessions, but I was advised not to do so. Which I understand. The argument was, well, we want to be able to pull it off live, which I get. But, after hearing more of bands like Blind Guardian over the years, where they have multiple layers in their vocal tracks, and all of those vocal layers aren't always necessarily heard live, but they still put on an amazing show. And also, I kind of went wild with my other projects that I was in, Helion Prime.
Right.
And I was so happy with the way that turned out that for this album I said, you know what, I'm just going to do what I want, and I'm very happy with that I did that.
Well, and it's interesting. I wasn't going to mention Helion Prime, it's sort of a past project and everything, but the difference between the first Graveshadow album and then what you did on that record, I can really hear you taking what you did on the Helion Prime record and bringing it into the Graveshadow mix, and it just really brings it to life. And it also gives me a true sense of how much of this is you in terms of the melody and everything else that you bring to it.
For sure. That was always what I wanted to do. And even on the first record, there was one song where, the one who I initially said I shouldn't, put as many vocal tracks on it, they said, okay, just throw a few more on there. And that was the song Exhumed. And so in that song in particular, you can hear, more than two, possibly three or four, different vocal layers. And I really liked how that one turned out. So I tried it on Helion Prime, loved it, and now that's just what I'm going to continue to do because I think it sounds incredible and it's a lot of fun.
It does. It really adds a lot of depth and something special to the record, and I think it really makes it stand out. So all good stuff. So I know you're a fairly private person. Much of your lyrical content is about adventure, fantastical realms, the epic stuff, obviously. But you did tap into your personal life a bit on this record. Did you find that process cathartic?
Absolutely. I really did. I actually was having quite a bit of writer's block initially. As, okay, I've written a bunch of songs about, vampires and werewolves and things that really interest me. And at the time I was going through, quite a bit of personal tribulations. And I wrote Widow and the Raven as a way to kind of work through what I was going through personally. And it kind of got rid of the writer's block. So, yeah, it can absolutely be very cathartic.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere you actually wrote most of that while you were at the zoo or something?
Not quite at the zoo. It was like this nature preserve thing.
Gotcha.
So it was like a park, like there were trails and yeah.
Still a great story.
For sure. Yeah, all in this. I think I had written maybe part of the chorus and up till then, but then on that hour or two walk that we did, I just did the rest of them.
So on almost every album that bands record, you come into the studio, you have the song pretty much set in your mind, but there always seems to be one or two that once you get in the studio and start working with it, it takes on a life of its own. Was there a track on the album you guys came in thinking, hey, we've got the song done, and then you got in there and it's like, whoa, wait a minute, we need to change this, we need to do this, and it became...
Oh, yeah, well, funnily enough, the song Eden Ablaze, the final track on the album, was not done when we initially went in there. Like, the arrangement hadn't been finished. We had all of the riffs we knew we wanted to use, but there was still a little bit of, okay, I think this part should go first, okay, then this part, and yeah, we were pretty much still writing that up until, like, even during the recording process. Like, okay, you know, what kind of drums do we want here, and even for War Chief, actually, we did the same thing. The drums for the chorus were, like, on the spot, hey, try it this way, okay, no, try it this way. So, yeah, definitely a couple on there.
Now, you guys actually completed Ambition's Price a while ago. You've sort of been sitting on it for a bit. Are you guys already looking at or writing for the next album?
Yes.
For the new one?
There are definitely talks of it. We definitely don't want there to be as much time between the second and the third album as there was between the first two. So we actually have practice on Saturday, and it's hopefully going to turn into more of a writing session, so we can get some more songs written and hopefully get a new record out as soon as possible.
So, and you alluded to this earlier, I'll bring it back. You've got a bit of a nerdy side to you, as most of us do. What's the nerdiest thing that you're into?
Nerdiest thing that I'm into? Oh, goodness. I mean, I'm not sure. You know, probably Star Trek, I guess. It's kind of been brought more into the forefront of entertainment with the new movies, but I'm an aspiring Trekkie, let's say that.
Nice. All right, so last question before we get out of here, just for fun. I know there are a lot of Maiden fans in Graveshadow. I'm getting sort of one of your cornerstone bands that you guys are all into. If you guys were to ever cover a Maiden tune, what do you think it might be? Oh,
that's a hard one. Oh, goodness. You know what? That's a really good question, and I don't know if I could answer that very well. There are some bigger Maiden fans in the band than myself, and I know that they would have very strong opinions.
She's talking to you, Will.
Yep, that's right. I mean, I know it's totally overdone, but the Trooper is always so much fun. So, but we probably wouldn't do that one though, because everybody else has.
Great song. Matter of fact, I think when I played you on the show today, I played them right after you, and it was that song. So.
Oh, nice.
Heather, thanks so much for taking some time. Again, happy birthday, and congratulations on the monster new album. It's just fantastic.
Thank you so much, Rustin.